Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Brittany and I like to take a look at the products and systems designed for photographers. I find and make my way through some interesting tech you may be curious about and share my experience so you can get an early idea if it might be worth your time and investment. If that sounds helpful, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. It's the season of AI systems for me, and today we are looking at narrative. What I want to explore is how well their three different preset levels, starter, standard, and master, actually perform compared to each other and against my own edits. Because I want to know at what preset level do we start seeing a return on the amount of images put into it, and whether there's a point where adding more images doesn't actually improve the results of the preset. Narrative's process for training is incredibly easy, but if you aren't confident in the number of images you have, should you just not bother with the system? No, of course not. So the real question I want to answer is whether we need a huge top-tier preset to get top-tier edits. And if there's anything that you are hoping to see that I don't go over, I encourage you to use this video as a way to get a handle on the system and chart out your own adventure using Narrative's 30-day free trial. Have fun and please let me know what your experience is like in the comments. When I was creating my different presets in Narrative system, I ended up making a lot, kind of accidentally. The method for creation is so easy that it just took me by surprise completely, and I ended up force quitting the system a bunch of times. It's a plug and go system in the sense that you connect anything that might have a Lightroom catalog on it, and the system will detect what it needs and train from that. I've talked more about the entire process in a different video, so if you're curious to hear more about that, feel free to head over to that video after this one. I will say I'm pretty glad I panicked multiple times because I ended up with 9 different AI presets that all have various amounts of images in them. I'm going to be using 4 of them today. My extra small one has 557 images. My small has 2,172 images. My medium-sized preset has 11,363 images. And finally, my honkin' big preset with 22,581 images. I've applied each of these presets to 50 images, and the process of editing with Narrative is, again, very fast, which ends up being a common theme with the system regardless of what we're doing. In addition to our preset edits, I've also gone through and manually edited the same images so that we can have a baseline for what I'm looking for. I typically describe my style as sorta moody, sorta bright, but not really falling into either category too definitively. It's brightly moody, and it's one that I really love, so I'm hoping that one of these presets, or all of them, were able to learn it and apply it effectively. I'm going to do this battle royal style, which if you've never had a wrestling arc in your life, all of our competitors are going to enter the ring together and I'm going to knock them out over time based on which one hits my style the best. This is per image and I'm keeping track of who comes in first, second, third, and fourth place. So at the end, we can see how each profile did overall. As I'm making my way through, what I'm looking for are the images that capture the warmth I like to see, which could be from color grading, temperature amounts, or even if the HSL is adjusted in a certain way. I do see a lot of warmth in these 4 presets, but sometimes I see one go rogue and is a bit more blue, which would need correction later. I'm also paying attention to tint because on more than one occasion, I felt like these presets went more green, and I usually keep things more neutral or I'll lean magenta. There's totally nothing wrong with green tinted images if that's your thing. I just find for the areas I end up shooting in, there's always a lot of green, especially in the summer where it can be almost radioactive. So I balance it out with more magenta tinting and some green and hue adjustment here or there. I did throw a couple curveball images in just to see how each one handles dark to very dark images, and honestly, none of them did super stellar. Narrative doesn't currently offer masking with their AI presets. They only do straightening, but I do think eventually they will get the ability to apply masks smartly, which I believe will help in the future with these underexposed shots due to lights not triggering or just being in shadow. For now though, we're left with needing to make pretty massive corrections ourselves. Speaking of corrections, we will need to make adjustments to a lot of these images here and there, but that is just the reality of all AI editing platforms. We should never expect to have a preset that does a perfect job because that just isn't realistic. I know I say this in every AI video, so if you've heard it multiple times from me, I'm not sorry. It is something that should be acknowledged every single time because AI is constantly changing and we always have to remind ourselves it is not perfect. The good news here, though, is that a majority of the time, each preset was able to give me an edit I really enjoyed. And I could tell that any slider adjustments I would have to make were going to be minimal, either to the temperature or exposure. By the end of this battle, I ended up with the small profile taking the most 4th place finishes, the large profile taking the most 3rd places, the extra small taking the most seconds, and the small, again, taking the most 1st places. The medium-sized profile, while it didn't take any top-bottom or top-top spots, does have consistent numbers in each category. So the takeaway for me is that we don't necessarily need to feed the system tens of thousands of images right off the bat to get a great profile. Any size preset can get our images into a good starting spot before we take over editing. Even with the smaller size presets, we still ended up getting a meaningful return from Narrative's AI for the amount of images put into them. By the time we get to the medium-sized preset, the profile seems to level out, and adding more images doesn't really create that dramatic of an improvement. I think the real benefit to these profiles will occur after we manually make the corrections to the AI-edited images, and then that data is processed by the Narrative system. Those corrections that are made in Lightroom are something that Narrative tracks in the background. And once a certain amount of tweaks are made, Narrative will then update the profile automatically. Again, this system is all about speed and not getting in the way of your workflow, so of course their improvement method would keep that vibe. If I'm in a pinch and not really able to upload a boatload of images, I think I'd be perfectly happy with the extra small to begin with, and over time build myself up to that medium-sized profile. And from there, just focus on the adjustments to get my preset more finely tuned. Narrative system seems to get it without much prompting, so I think any preset level will be able to learn your unique editing pretty quickly. But as always, I am excited to hear your thoughts on Narrative and their AI editing presets. If you've gotten the chance to use them, please let me know the amount of images your preset is trained on and if it's changed how you work. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you found it helpful or interesting at all, I hope you'll consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell so you can know whenever I release a new video. And if there's any systems you're curious about or you've had an experience with, good or bad, feel free to let me know and I'll add them to my list to check out. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.